to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. Close your eyes and feel the soft hush in the air, like a gentle breeze passing through a sunlit meadow. Notice the soothing rhythm of your breath, growing slower and calmer with each inhale and exhale. Tonight's journey will carry you to the ancient cliffs of Ireland, where an arcane harp's timeless melody intertwines with the distant call of the sea. Right now, allow your body to settle into stillness. Feel the place beneath you, cradling your form, supporting your limbs as you sink deeper into comfort. The air around you feels delicate and inviting, like the first light of dawn that peeks through a lace curtain. Soften your brow, unclench your jaw, and let your shoulders loosen. Every breath in invites tranquility. Every breath out releases any lingering tension. Quietly repeat this slow cycle of breath, filling yourself with a sense of growing peace. Listen closely to the subtle hush. Imagine the distant sound of rolling waves, a lapping tide that gradually stills your thoughts. Allow a gentle warmth to spread throughout your body, the warmth of being welcomed here, just as you are. Let that warmth carry away your worries, one drifting thought at a time. Surrender to this moment, noticing the comforting weight of your eyelids. Inhale, exhale, and feel the softness that envelops you. As your mind eases away from the day, let it wander toward a story of tranquil Irish cliffs and the magic of a forgotten harp. Let the gentle notes of possibility guide you onward. Far off on the windswept coast of Ireland, where the Atlantic Ocean meets stark, emerald green cliffs, stood an ancient harbour, once known only to local seafarers. This harbour, nestled in a quiet inlet, gently carved a sanctuary into the craggy coastline. Small fishing boats dotted the harbour's water, like scattered pieces of driftwood, each quietly swaying in the tide. Beyond the harbour's entrance, tall cliffs reached upward, layered in limestone and smoothed by centuries of ocean spray. There, a whisper of magic lingered, and legends told of an arcane harp hidden among crevices and the rock. For centuries, few had ventured to find it, and even fewer truly believed in its power. One soft afternoon, the sun melted into the sky in shimmering shades of gold. A young traveller named Kieran set out on foot from the harbour, drawn by a curiosity older than memory. He had heard faint whispers from the villagers, stories told by weathered fishermen and kind-hearted grandmothers who remembered the days of simpler charms and invisible wonders. These stories spoke of a harp's resonant song echoing inside the sea caves at sunset. Kieran was not certain that such a harp existed, but he felt a gentle tug inside his heart, inviting him to search. He left the narrow dirt path leading from the harbour's edge, carefully stepping over small, moss-covered rocks. The soft hum of the surf grew more pronounced as he advanced, each wave rolling in with a hush and receding with a quiet sigh. Overhead, seagulls drifted in arcs against a peaceful, cloud-brushed sky. A mild breeze played with the grass that lined the cliffs, shimmering in gentle waves of emerald. Here, in the hush between bird calls and crashing waves, the presence of something ancient seemed to linger, as though the breeze carried echoes of forgotten lullabies. Following a narrow route along the cliff's crest, Kieran noticed that the path was well worn by time, yet rarely travelled. The occasional footprints, some small, some wide, suggested that others had been here before. Perhaps they too had heard rumours of a hidden harp. Perhaps they had come seeking solace or adventure. The hush of the surroundings offered more questions than answers, but Kieran continued, led forward by a sense that he was gently on the right track. Soon he reached a small plateau jutting out over the sea. Below it, the ocean churned softly, not violent, but undeniably powerful. The rhythmic pulse of the tide meshed with Kieran's heartbeat. He paused and closed his eyes, letting the world around him saturate his senses. The cool scent of salty air, the faint shimmer of light on the ocean's surface, and the distant call of gulls hidden by mist. In that moment, he felt as though time stretched out, unhurried and kind. Each breath deepened his awareness, quieting the doubts that might cloud his mind. The rumours mentioned a cave near the waterline, accessible only when the tide was low. Kieran waited patiently as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in delicate pinks and oranges. Eventually, the tide pulled back, revealing a narrow opening at the foot of the cliffs. The entrance to the cave appeared like a dark mouth rimmed in pale stones. With measured care, Kieran descended a zigzagging path that led toward the rocky shore. Careful footsteps and watchful eyes guided him down until he stood at the cave's threshold, listening to the water's gentle lap within. Inside, the cave's walls glimmered with flecks of quartz. The air was damp, and the sound of trickling water offered a soothing lull. Kieran lit a small lantern, its warm glow pushing back the shadows, though not entirely. He progressed further, stepping over tide pools that mirrored the lantern's light in delicate reflections. A quiet hush blanketed this place, reverent and old, as though the earth itself honoured an unseen presence. Farther in, the floor rose slightly, free of seawater's reach. The cave widened, revealing a chamber with a natural dome overhead. Stalactites and stalagmites decorated the space, forming columns and arches that might have been built by silent centuries of water dripping from stone. Kieran's lantern revealed unexpected carvings etched into the walls. Spirals, lines, and simple shapes, telling stories in symbols he did not recognize. Yet he sensed that they spoke of lullabies and guardianship, referencing a music that once reverberated through this hollow. And then, faintly at first, came a sound. It was the hush of a single harp string, plucked with care. The note lingered in the thick air, rippling through the stillness. Kieran's pulse quickened, but he forced himself to remain calm. He followed that note, letting its soft resonance guide him deeper into the heart of the cave. Each footstep felt measured, as if treading on sacred ground. At last, in the dim glow of his lantern, he saw something astonishing, a harp, fashioned of driftwood and silver strings, resting on a natural shelf of stone. Its frame appeared delicate, yet enduring, carved with patterns resembling waves and swirling winds. There, a gentle breeze seemed to stir, though from where, Kieran could not tell. The harp strings quivered softly, emitting an almost imperceptible hum. An otherworldly energy permeated the chamber, reminiscent of the hush in a place of worship, just before a profound ceremony. Kieran set his lantern down and approached. Every fibre of his being said that this was the arcane harp of legend, the one whose music could bring solace to weary souls and calm stormy seas. He reached out, running his fingertips lightly along the harp's frame. A warmth spread through his hand, as if he were not merely touching wood and string, but tapping into a living pulse of nature. Cautiously, he plucked a single string. The note that echoed through the chamber was pure, resonant, and filled with the essence of the sea itself. It shivered across the walls in gentle echoes that felt more like a comforting whisper than a loud cry. In the old stories, the harp was said to remain silent unless it recognized sincerity in the one who played it. Though Kieran had not come for glory or renown, some quiet place in his heart held a hope for shared harmony. He plucked another string, allowing his breath to steady him. The result was a gentle chord, like the overlapping of waves on a calm shore. Encouraged, he played a slow melody, improvising in response to the hush around him. And the harp answered in kind, each note more comforting than the last. Unseen currents of wind curled around them, guiding the harp's sound along the cave walls. The air seemed to shimmer with soft potential. Kieran closed his eyes. He didn't question how he knew which notes to play. It felt as though the harp itself guided him, coaxing out a melody reminiscent of lullabies and faraway whispers. There was no hurry here, no pressing need, only the gentle flow of time and music. After a while, Kieran noticed that the tide outside had crept up again. The cave mouth had begun to narrow, water creeping across the floor. He lingered for just a moment longer, wanting to hold on to the warmth that pulsed through the harp's strings. The soft chords and gentle hum felt like a lullaby from the ocean's heart, reminding him that there was more to this land than met the eye. Eventually, he draped the harp with a small cloth to protect it from the tide's dampness, and then he carefully made his way back outside, carrying the memory of that song with him. Evening's twilight greeted him as he emerged. The cliffs stretched on as giant sentinels, their silhouettes edged against a gentle violet sky. As Kieran climbed back up the winding path, he noticed a small stone bench at the cliff's crest, half hidden by wind-bent grasses. He paused to rest there, enveloped by the hush of the dusk. He replayed the harp's melody in his mind, feeling each chord resonate in his chest. The sky darkened, revealing faint pinpricks of starlight. A mild breeze caressed the back of his neck. He sat for a time, silent but content, letting the cliff's presence cradle him. Over the next few days, Kieran returned whenever the tide was right. He explored the cliffs above and below, at times simply standing at the water's edge, listening to the sigh of the ocean. Sometimes he ventured back into the cave to sit near the harp, plucking a few notes or running his hand over its smooth wooden arc. It seemed that the harp never lost its gentle glow, as if it drew its energy from the rhythms of the earth itself. The more Kieran played it, the more he felt in tune with the serene nature surrounding him. He discovered a hidden cove to the north, where the cliffs receded to reveal a patch of grass and wildflowers. Sea daisies and strands of heather brushed against the rocks, adding a soft fragrance to the salt-laced air. The cove's shape echoed the hush of a seashell, and the waves that reached its shore were gentler than those found in open ocean waters. Sometimes Kieran would bring the harp to this cove, carefully carrying it in a cloth sling. He'd sit on a smooth rock, carefully balancing the instrument, and let the wind guide his fingers. The resulting lullabies seemed to mingle with the flight of gulls overhead, spinning around him in a soft tapestry of sound. In that cove, Kieran felt that time was no longer linear, but rather a gentle circle of day and night, tide in and tide out. He gathered driftwood for small fires when the evenings grew cool, warming his hands and letting the flames dance reflections on the harp's worn surface. In that golden flicker, the carvings of waves and swirls glistened as if alive. The more he played, the more he realized that each note brought a sense of calm not just to him, but to the very air and sea around him. Curious passers-by occasionally glimpsed the young traveller perched near the cove's edge, weaving a soft harmony. While no one ventured too close, they carried stories back to the harbour, gentle rumours of an enchanting music drifting across the cliffs. People would pause along the shore at twilight, hoping to catch a stray chord on the breeze. Some swore it lulled them into a serene state, as though the burdens of their day had been lightly lifted. Others insisted that the night air felt warmer on evenings when the harp's lullaby was played. One late afternoon, as Kieran prepared to make his way to the cave again, he spotted an older woman standing at the cliff's edge, watching the sea with a calm expression. She turned as he approached. Her hair was silver, braided in a crown, and her cloak bore the signs of a life spent in wind and weather. Kieran nodded in greeting, unsure if she had come to witness the music or simply admire the ocean. She offered a warm smile, then spoke in a gentle voice. "You've found it, haven't you? The harp that was lost to time." Kieran felt no need to hide what he had discovered. Quietly, he nodded. The woman lowered her gaze, as though recalling distant memories. "I used to hear those stories when I was a child," she said, her voice resonating with kindness. "They said the harp had the power to remind us of what truly matters. Peace, unity, the gentle song of nature that lies beneath our daily worries. He told her about his visits to the cave and the cautious melodies he had played. She listened with great attention, her eyes lit by an understanding few could claim. "Play on," she told him. "Let the harp's voice carry beyond these cliffs. Let it soothe tired minds and lonely hearts. Music can be the balm for so much in this world." With that, she offered him a small woven charm, shaped like a spiral of braided seagrass. "For good fortune," she said. Kieran thanked her, feeling an unexpected surge of gratitude. She then turned back to the sea and continued to watch the rolling waves, as though conversing with them wordlessly. That evening, the music that rose from the cave was softer than ever, yet somehow more profound. The strings seemed to echo the gentle whisper of the sea, weaving together the hush of the ocean with the lullaby that lived within the harp. Kieran thought of the woman on the cliff. He thought of his own reasons for travelling, for searching, for believing that something enchanted still existed in the world. And with each note he plucked, he poured gratitude into the air, into the water, into the earth beneath his feet. Days and nights passed with a tranquil consistency. The light that draped the Irish coastline moved in graceful arcs from dawn's first glow to twilight's gentle farewell. Kieran found that by balancing his time between the ocean's edge and the mysterious cave, he had discovered a peaceful rhythm to his life. He learned the tides by heart, rising early on mornings when the sea pulled away, allowing him to venture inside and greet the harp like an old friend. At night, when the tide returned, he would rest along the cliffs, lulled by the faint resonance still echoing in his ears. Gradually, people in the nearby harbour began to experience shifts in their daily lives. Fishermen noticed calmer seas, as though the storms that often raged this time of year had softened. Children reported vivid dreams of gliding along waves of music, and even livestock seemed more at ease, grazing quietly in the fields without spooking its shadows. A sense of gentle harmony spread through the region, and though few could attribute it directly to the harp's renewed lullaby, the correlation was felt everywhere. An afternoon arrived, one crowned by a dazzling blue sky, brushed with clouds like wisps of cotton. Kieran realized that his journey might soon lead him onward, for the world beckoned beyond these comforting cliffs. But the harp felt like a gift meant to be shared with others who sought peace or understanding. He decided to return it to its resting place in the cave, so that all who ventured there in honest curiosity might find it. Though it was tempting to carry it away, to let others hear its melody across distant lands, he sensed the harp was woven into the spirit of these cliffs. It had slept in these depths for uncounted years, belonging to the sound of ocean swells and the hush of tide-worn rocks. As he approached the cave for what might be the last time, he noticed how familiar everything had become. The small shells clinging to the cliff walls, the dark seaweed swaying in the water's current, the glimmering quartz that caught his lantern's flame. Each detail felt like the page in a story he had learned by heart. Entering that wide chamber, he placed the harp gently on its rocky shelf, careful to nestle it snugly, so the ocean's higher tides would not sweep it away. Kieran's final melody was a tender farewell. The notes twined around the stalactites and stalagmites, transforming the cave into a living cathedral of sound. He played as though in conversation with the waves that lapped outside, each chord rising and falling with the rhythms of the tide. His heart felt peacefully full, like a warm tide cresting gently on a moonlit shore. And when he finished, a hush settled once more, broken only by the soft drip of water in the cave's corners. He stepped back, letting the hush enfold the harp. It was as though the instrument breathed, quietly satisfied to be in its rightful place. With a fond sigh, Kieran left the cave, navigating his way back to the quiet inlet and its rocky sands. Starlight guided him, scattered across the water like glittering confetti. He paused one last time, listening for the echo of the harp's voice. A faint chord whispered through the shifting tide, and he smiled, content. The next day, Kieran began his journey inland. He felt a subtle ache in leaving something so dear, yet he also carried a sense of resolution and gratitude. The harbour's folk waved him on, though few truly knew the depth of his adventure. They saw in his eyes a calm so anchored that it seemed he had tapped into something beyond the mundane. In the distance, the cliff tops glowed with dawn's early light, as though offering a gentle blessing on his path. And so he went, carrying the melody in his heart. Weeks passed, and the story of that soft music continued to float through the region. Occasionally, a curious soul would take the path down to the cave at low tide. Some heard a faint chord, others only sensed a presence, a hush that touched their spirit and then disappeared like a passing breeze. Yet all left the cave more at peace than when they entered. The arcane harp remained, a silent guardian of gentle dreams, waiting for those who sought harmony in the hush of the Irish cliffs. Now, with the tale told, you feel its gentle resonance settling in your mind. The hush of the story drifts like a soft lullaby through your thoughts, nudging them to slow and rest. Each breath is calm, easy, unhurried. The day's commotion fades, replaced by the memory of ocean waves rolling steadily against ancient rock. Feel that tender swirl of music in the distance, faint as a whisper, but comforting as a familiar embrace. Allow your body to sink more deeply into its resting place, acknowledging the weight of your limbs, yet feeling them grow delightfully light. Let the breath that flows in and out cradle you, leading you into tranquility. There is no rush, only a peaceful invitation to let go. Like the hidden harp waiting in its soft, echoing cave, your inner quiet waits for you. Set aside any lingering concerns, any tasks or thoughts. The gentle hush of a distant tide fills your awareness, and your breathing eases into its soothing pattern. Let the calm of the Irish coastline drift into your dreams, carrying you across the boundary between day and night, wakefulness and slumber. Soon, the driftwood harp's lullaby will meet the gentle hush of your own mind, merging seamlessly into restful sleep. Good night, dear traveller. Sleep well.